Speak plainly. Who are you?
Name's Forge, Storm.
Spoiler warning. The third episode of X-Men 97 continues where the two-part premiere left off, introducing a number of new characters and narrative aspects for the series' future. At the end of X-Men 97, Episode 2, there was a person who looked exactly like Jean Grey who mysteriously showed up at the X-Mansion. Beast soon makes it clear that the person residing in the X-Mansion is a clone of the formidable X-Men figure, and that the new Jean is, in fact, the genuine Jean Grey. Following the events of the first animated series, Professor X disappeared from X-Men 97, leaving Scott Summers to continue leading the team in the face of this unexpected news. The events of X-Men 97 tell the tale of revelations, turns, and beginnings for particular Marvel Comics mutants. By the conclusion of X-Men 97 Episode 3, the storylines of a number of the primary characters have been developed, demonstrating how the show differs and parallels Marvel Comics in a variety of ways.
I'd like to help you get back what you've lost.
Subscribe to Movie Spy for more twist videos. Who Storm meets X-Men 97, Episode 3's end. The last scene of Episode 3 poses the most significant query regarding Storm's destiny. Storm is shown leaving the X-Mansion and beginning her solo adventure in the climactic sequence of X-Men 97 Episode 3. In X-Men 97 Episode 2, Storm lost her mutant powers, which brought her to a club in Dallas, Texas. Before a man enters and takes a seat next to Storm, she is seen sipping a drink. The man introduces himself as Forge and tells Storm that he is a friend of Charles Xavier, seemingly aware of her and her abilities.
Name's Forge, Storm. An old friend of Charles Xavier.
Before X-Men 97 Episode 3 cuts to black, Forge tells Storm that he would like to help her get back what she has lost. Who is Forge and why does it matter? Forge plays a significant role in Storm's narrative in Marvel Comics. Forge in X-Men 97, staring at Storm. Given how the conclusion of X-Men 97 Episode 3 centers on the disclosure of Forge, a lot of people will be curious about his identity and significance. Forge was a mutant in Marvel Comics who was descended from the Cheyenne Indians. Forge's appropriate name comes from his mutant talent, which enables him to automatically understand the operation, function, and schematics of any technological item or machine in his immediate surroundings. Forge was also gifted with magical skills. These were imparted to him by the Cheyenne shaman Nays. In his later years, Forge started manufacturing weaponry for the U.S. government. During this period, Forge invented a neutralizer device that could prevent mutants and other superheroes from having extraordinary abilities. Later on, it is revealed that Storm lost her powers due to the same weapon, for which Forge feels culpable and helps her regain them. Although the identity of the creator of the weapon that negated Storm's abilities was not disclosed in X-Men 97 Episode 2, it appears that Forge, in the episode's epilogue, retrospectively presented that character. The new origin of Cable described as of the conclusion of X-Men 97 Episode 3, the origin of the time-traveling mutant is substantially different. Nathan Charles Summers was born to Scott and Jean Grey, who would eventually be identified as Madeline Pryor at the conclusion of X-Men 97 Episode 2. This youngster grows up to become Cable in the books, the formidable time-traveling mutant seen in Deadpool 2 and X-Men, the animated series. The majority of X-Men 97 maintains Cable's origin story in Marvel Comics, which is that Mr. Sinister planned his birth in order to carry out further genetic experiments. Nevertheless, Cable's origin tale in X-Men 97 Episode 3 differs in a few ways. First of all, unlike in the comics, Mr. Sinister infects Nathan with a techno-organic virus rather than the apocalypse. As opposed to using a member of Clan Ascani, as is the case in Marvel Comics, Bishop transports Nathan to the future in X-Men 97 in order to discover a treatment for the virus. Cable's mother, Madeline Pryor, is another reason why his background in X-Men 97 Episode 3 is a little different. In X-Men 97, Madeline's origins are slightly different because neither she nor the real Jean Grey are certain of which one actually lived the combined memories. In X-Men, the animated series, neither of them is certain which of Jean and Madeline married Scott or which of them had the Phoenix's power. This is not the comics. Unlike X-Men 97, Madeline's life is much clearer here because Jean was dead when she married Scott and had Nathan. Mr. Sinister. Who is he? The story of X-Men 97's villain, the X-Men's longtime adversary, the villain from the animated series, is back. By X-Men 97 Episode 3's conclusion, the program has established Mr. Sinister as its main antagonist. antagonist. Those who have watched X-Men, the animated series, would recognize Mr. Sinister all too well, as he was one of the main adversaries in the series. Mr. Sinister was a 19th century scientist who developed an obsession with genetic development, as is mentioned in passing in X-Men 97 Episode 3. After discovering a method to halt the aging process, he became obsessed and took on the persona of Mr. Sinister. Sinister frequently surfaced as the main team's adversary in X-Men, the animated series. It was revealed that Sinister thought he required Scott Summers and Jean Grey's genetic DNA to finish his investigation. In X-Men 97 Episode 3, this story element is brought back to life when his scheme to use Madeline Pryor to kidnap Nathan Summers is realized. Madeline and Cyclops prevented Sinister from using Nathan to accomplish his plan. Sinister vanished into the background at the conclusion of X-Men 97 Episode 3, indicating his ongoing hostility for the mutant squad. What does Madeline Pryor's future hold? The comic book distinctions of Madeline Pryor provide intrigue for her X-Men 97 future. Apart from Storm's encounter with Forge, the most significant uncertainty surrounding the conclusion of X-Men 97 Episode 3 is likely to be Madeline Pryor's fate. In the episode, Madeline became the Goblin Queen, akin to the character from Marvel Comics, as a result of Mr. Sinister's insanity. But as a recurrent enemy in the comics, this sets Madeline on a path toward villainy.
We just have to be sure.